Welcome, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be joining us from. I'm really delighted that you're able to join us from wherever it is you may be logging in on. My name is Elizabeth Bukusi. I'm the KEMRI Project Director for this particular program, the LEA-WH, that KEMRI will be presenting, KEMRI will be implementing in conjunction with the National Academy of Medicine. On behalf of the LEA team, I am so thrilled to see that right now we have, 63 people who are already online, and I hope there will be others joining. And thank you very much for showing interest in being able to join and listen to this particular transformative program that we hope will be one that can, a fellowship that can advance research and innovation on women's health and foster an ecosystem where researchers, innovators, and product developers will be able to work together within their countries, across different regions, and across the world with international partnerships to be able to make a difference for women's health. You know, many years ago, I'm probably thinking about 30 years ago, I was probably in that same space. And it's such a delight to be able to be here and hopefully to be able to support the next generation of scientists in this part of the world. LEA-WH is indeed what we look at as a giant step for women's health. Allow me just to walk you through what we hope to be able to do in the next 1 hour, and I have the privilege of moderating this session. We are going to cover some introductions, tell you about the program overview, tell you what the fellowship will be able to provide, share with you the eligibility and selection criteria, and give you information on the application that we hope will allow you, if this is the program that is for you, to be able to apply and address some issues that we think are likely to be asked by those who are interested in this program. So from the KEMRI side, who do we have on the LEA-WH program? We will host an advisory board, and our advisory board will be chaired by the Director General of KEMRI, Professor Elijah Songok. As I said earlier, I have the privilege of leading the team. I have with me some very capable individuals who are going to be part of our three main pillars. Dr. Rose Bosire will be heading the leadership program. Professor Nelly Mugo will head the research and development, innovation, and also the technical areas. And Dr. Martin Bundi will be the one who's responsible for our curriculum development and implementation. For those of you who might not know about KEMRI, allow me to tell you a little bit about KEMRI. The Kenya Medical Research Institute has had 45 years of research excellence and capacity building based in Kenya. We also host what's called the KEMRI Graduate School. And allow me to tell you just a few words about that. So the KEMRI Graduate School is our training arm. It has modern learning facility, and it has the ability to support both hybrid training and has done so for over the past 10 years, reaching people in all parts of Africa and beyond. Now that you've met the KEMRI team, allow me to pass it on to Kelly Robbins, who will tell you about who's on the team for the National Academy of Medicine in the US, who are our partners. Over to you, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Professor Bukusi. Our team here at the US National Academy of Medicine is honored to have been selected by the program funders at the Gates Foundation to partner with you and your team at KEMRI on this very exciting new program. I serve as manager of the NAM team on the program under the leadership of our unit director, Dr. Greg Margolis, and joining me are program officer, Dr. Komal Sayed, and senior program assistant, Ms. Caroline Moses. To give you some background about our institution, the National Academy of Medicine is part of our overall National Academies complex, along with the National Academy of Sciences and the National Academy of Engineering. NAM is a non-governmental organization made up of approximately 2,400 elected members who are leading medical professionals from the United States and around the world. Besides serving as an honorary professional society, NAM also carries out a mission of providing independent, science-based advice to national and local governments and society at large on a wide range of health-related topics. The National Academy also serves a convening function, bringing together research leaders, policy specialists, government officials, and practitioners to discuss and highlight pressing issues. And finally, in addition, NAM also organizes fellowships for both Americans and international participants to build the capacity of these emerging leaders, enhancing their career development and putting them in a strong position to succeed in both the research and policy spheres. So with our involvement in LEA, we are building on our experience in managing past global and domestic programs, all in pursuit of our vision of health for everyone, everywhere. We're also excited to see this new program launched and to be in a position to contribute to its success. Now I'd like to turn it back to the KEMRI team for an overview of what this new program is all about.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I have a really great team that I hope some of you will get the opportunity to meet. And the program team is coordinated by Dr. Nyawira Gitahi. And I'd like to invite her to give you an overview of what the LEA-WH program is going to be about. Once she's done, she will then pass you on to Dr. Eson Marima, who will also share some of the details with you. Over to you, Dr. Nyawira.
Thank you, Prof. Elizabeth Bukusi and Kelly. I'm delighted to take all of you, to take this opportunity to walk all of you through the program overview, starting with LEA-WH, what it is and why it matters. LEA-WH is the first fellowship of its kind dedicated to advancing women's health in Africa. By strengthening research and innovation capacity and fostering scientific leadership, it is a one-year fellowship for mid-career African researchers, product developers, innovators, and entrepreneurs working in women's health, designed to nurture the next generation of leaders driving transformative change across the continent. We're especially excited that this is LEA-WH's inaugural fellowship, with the first cohort launching in April 2026. So why LEA-WH? Ladies and gentlemen, the challenge is clear. Women's health outcomes in Africa remain disproportionately poor, and progress is hampered often by severe shortage of leaders in research and innovation. This gap is compounded by barriers like limited infrastructure, insufficient human capital, and constrained funding, all of which slow the scale-up of solutions and the creation of innovations that truly address women's health needs. The solution is bold and local. Research and innovation led in Africa, for Africa, supported by sustained investment in local capacity. We need contextually appropriate solutions that truly fit our settings. Advances from elsewhere are useful, but sometimes they're not replicable here or even applicable. So LEA-WH is building more than a fellowship. We are building the ecosystem where expert researchers and innovators come together, collaborate, and drive women's health forward. And we are creating a strong pipeline of local leaders who will shape the future of women's health across the continent. The purpose of LEA-WH is to advance women's health by building research and innovation capacity and fostering scientific leadership in African countries. We aim to transform 60 mid-year career researchers and innovators into independent leaders who are capable of establishing research programs and product development initiatives in women's health over the next 3 years. And we want to have 20 fellows per year. While there are several problems that affect women's health, this fellowship will focus on those that are high burden, under-researched, under-resourced, and that cause significant morbidity and mortality for women. These include menstrual health, sexually transmitted infections and other reproductive tract infections, pelvic floor disorders, and other conditions like fibroids and cervical cancer, menopause and infertility, as well as contraceptive technologies. Through our unique dual-track model, LEA-WH aims to build capacity for cutting-edge scientific research while fostering market-ready innovation. This model encourages cross-pollination and interdisciplinary engagement across the two tracks, which is supplemented by mentorship from seasoned international research and innovation experts. The reproductive health track, research track, aims to strengthen research leadership that prioritizes very, very practical applications, scalable interventions, and evidence informed policy engagement to build an ecosystem conducive to women's health. Then the product developers or innovators track aims to catalyze product development, commercialization, startup creation, and market ready solutions that will advance women's health technologies. We really are focusing on fostering cross sector partnerships with women health researchers. This illustration really just summarizes our bold strategy for long term sustainability. We hope to have and to highlight here some self-sustaining mechanisms that extend beyond our initial 3-year fellowship period to ensure that this program actually has some lasting programmatic impact. The first one is the annual network incubation strategy. This is a structured peer learning cycle that has intensive alumni integration, network expansion, and network sustainability. Then we also have the annual Science X Africa Summit, really a culmination of all the year's hard work, ensuring that we have at least 150 fellows, alumni, policymakers, industry representatives, and innovators who come together annually to showcase tangible outputs, innovation challenges, and policy engagement. The third is our strategic partnership network. Here, we hope to build world class collaboration through the integration of mentorship, faculty, and learning by our fellows, continued mentorship and enhanced training delivery, as well as linking them to funding sources. Technology and development and commercialization pathways are also critical elements of this pillar. The success of LEA-WH over the life of the project. This is what it will look like. We hope to have 5 to 10 products reaching market testing and are market viable. We hope to have 5 to 10 startup companies that are established to tackle women's health challenges. We want to have 5 to 10 patent applications filed that address a woman's health priority issue. And we want to have 20 to 50% of all the fellows securing research and developmental grants. The return on investment that we envision is up to 3.5 million USD. And this will essentially be from follow-on funding catalyzed from the grant applications and product commercializations from the fellows. In addition, LEA-WH will foster an ecosystem where we have an African-led reproductive health researchers, product developers, innovators, entrepreneurs forum that works together to solve these issues affecting women's health in Africa. This is a program timeline. Between April to December 2025, there were listening sessions by the National Academy of Medicine team. This included a process of visiting research and academic institutions, speaking to many folks in the product innovation space, listening to the gaps in women's health research and innovation. And this was then followed by grant application and making. We are now in the January to December 2026 phase. Now is a call for applications for this period, which will then be followed by fellow selection within March to April 2026. And really, the fellows continuing to work through their curriculum and their grant applications and product innovation processes. By April 2027, the first cohort will have participated in the first conference known as the Science X Africa Summit, and will transition to the alumni program. And this is how we envision your journey as a fellow over the 12-month period. There will be in-person engagements with a red asterisk that are mandatory for all the fellows, and I'll call them out. This is a fellowship kickoff, an immersion week that will be held in an African country for a week long in April 2026. The other is a mid-fellowship mixer, which will be a combination of networking, pitching, investment and venture capitalist introductions and connections and networking. The third is the Science X Africa Summit that I mentioned before, where we will have fellow graduation, alumni community kickoff, and really just a culmination of the cohort moving into the alumni space and continuing to spread out and work within the fantastic ecosystem that we will be beginning. The fellowship provisions. I'd like to take a moment to guide you through everything that the fellowship offers over the course of your 1-year engagement. You will have visa support, if this is applicable for your country, for events outside fellows' African countries of residence. You will also have travel and accommodation support, a laptop and internet coverage and virtual learning, networking opportunities, professional development with a professional development allowance that's within the budget of every mentor, and then of every applicant, as well as mentorship in relevant women's health research and innovation areas. We will also provide an online learning platform that the didactic curriculum will be offered of the Kemri Graduate School program of the online learning platform that's hosted at Kemri Graduate School. I want to hand over to my colleague, Dr. Rezon, to take us through the LEA-WH curriculum. Welcome, Rezon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nyawera, and other colleagues who spoke before me. So now that you've heard about this exciting program, we'll talk a little bit about what the fellowship will offer in terms of the curriculum. So 70% of the course content will focus on research, product development, and innovation, and 15% will provide an overview on the women's health priority issues, so that all the fellows have the same contextual on women's health. The last part will be the 15%. Let me just remove an echo. The last part will be a 15% that will focus on leadership, so that the fellows can be successful fellows and leaders in health. So what will this now entail with some level of detail? The curriculum will take 480 hours over the 1-year fellowship, and this will be a competency-based curriculum, which means that you will be assessed on your ability to do or to gain the requisite knowledge, attitude, and skills in that particular area. About 45% of those 220 hours are what we call synchronous training. Synchronous training means that these will be live virtual contact sessions, and where you will need to show up in person, either to a virtual session or an in-person session, such as the immersion sessions, which Dr. Nyawera has already described. The balance of the 55% will be asynchronous, which means that you can study the material at your own time. These will be facilitated on our digital learning management information system that you will all have access to once you have been successfully onboarded as fellows. The hours breakdown similarly shows the breakdown for R&D, for women's health technical, and leadership and development. And then the R&D is further developed into 2 tracks, which is the reproductive health researcher track and the product innovator track, which Dr. Nyawera has already described. To further promote cross-pollination and cross-learning, we will be having common courses for both the reproductive health researchers and the product innovators. We will also equip you as leaders in the leadership foundations, negotiation and influence, and system thinking and others, which we will learn more about during the fellowship. In terms of the contact time available for the learner, for the fellows who are successful, we expect that you will have at least 12 hours per week for the year of the fellowship. This is 1.5 days every single week, of which 8 hours are asynchronous, which you will learn on your own, and 4 hours are synchronous, coming to the total of 480 hours per year. The virtual engagements will include the virtual lectures, which are either recorded, delivered live, or in a live masterclass session with experts. And we're trying to have very innovative ways of delivering this content, including innovation immersions, case discussions, group assignments, fellow presentations, group project assignments, and individual project assignments, pitch preparations, pitch meetings, and discussion on the e-learning platform. We will also find appropriate innovators who you could have fireside chats and learn with to further enhance your knowledge. The in-person engagements, which are mandatory, as earlier said, will include the immersion week at the inception of the fellowship, the NAM events, which include the NAM annual meeting and the Emerging Leaders Forum, and then as those which are optional, and then the Venture Capitalist Mixer and the Science X Summit, which have already been described. I will then pass on back to the moderator, Prof. Elizabeth Bukusi. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rason. Now, you're probably wondering, I've heard a lot about KEMRI and what KEMRI is going to do. What's the role for the National Academy of Medicine in all this? Let me invite Kelly to come back and just tell you what the National Academy of Medicine, we call them NAM, what their team is going to do. So over to you, Kelly.
Thanks, Dr. Bukusi and Dr. Rason for that great overview of the LEA curriculum that you and the KEMRI team are going to be designing and implementing. Before I start with my remarks, I just want to invite all of our participants listening in with us live today. If you have questions as you're hearing us present, please go to the Q&A button near the bottom of your screen, enter the questions, and we will have a question and answer period after our formal remarks. So here at the National Academy of Medicine, our primary responsibilities for the program focus on the mentorship and networking pieces. While planning for this program, we held listening sessions in person with more than 100 women's health researchers in East, West, and Southern Africa. And one of the key needs that we heard raised everywhere was mentorship. So this is going to be a key element of LEA. Each fellow selected for the program will actually be assigned 2 mentors. KEMRI will recruit and match mentors who will focus on the technical side, so they'll be matched as closely as possible to each fellow's research and development interests. On the NAM side, we will be matching each fellow with a mentor who will focus on the bigger picture aspects of personal and career development. Most of the mentors on the NAM side will be our Academy members, augmented as needed with other leading women's health experts. To help ensure the success of the mentorship relationships, NAM will also be providing practical online training sessions on communications, goal setting, and related skills. Fellows will be provided with mentorship development plan templates to help them identify and progress on specific goals, as well as an online platform to help the mentors and fellows manage their relationships and report progress or any challenges they encounter. In addition to mentorship, the African researchers we met with during our program planning phase also cited lack of opportunities for international networking as another obstacle to their career development and progress. The LEA program therefore includes dedicated support by the NAM team to facilitate networking. Each fellow selected to participate in the program will have a $7,000 travel budget managed by our staff here at the National Academy. And those funds are in addition to the travel support that will be provided separately through KEMRI for participants to attend core program events. The $7,000 travel budget can be used to cover cost of attending National Academy of Medicine events, like our annual meeting, or our Emerging Leaders Forum, or other National Academies workshops or events. The travel budget could also be used to support attendance at other relevant professional conferences in the United States or elsewhere, or collaborative visits by the fellows to their mentors' institutions. These funds can be used during the fellows' program year or in the year immediately following. Finally, the National Academy of Medicine will also be compiling information on relevant funding opportunities and sharing it with fellows in the program to help facilitate successful proposal submissions, aligning with the training and mentorship components of the program that we've already heard described here today. So now I'd like to pass it back to KEMRI to go over the eligibility requirements. I believe that's our next.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I'm sure our listeners are probably wondering, and thank you for those questions that you're already asking in the question and answer, or even in the webinar chat. Thank you very much. And we are taking note of them, and we will be responding to them as much as we are able. So you're probably wondering, given that you're here, are you eligible? Can you apply for this program? Let me invite Dr. Nyawira back to just tell you what are eligibility and selection criteria.
Thanks, Prof. Bukusi. So I hope you're excited. And as we come to the tail end of this presentation, I really want to emphasize on who is eligible. So you must be a citizen of an African country, working in an African country during the fellowship year. The second critical item is that fluency in written and spoken and comprehension of English is required, because English will be the language of instruction for the fellowship. In terms of your terminal degree, as a reproductive health researcher within that track, we require a minimum qualification of a master's degree. And for the product development or innovator track, a bachelor's degree with a product in development is required. With relative for both, in addition to the terminal degrees mentioned, we require you to have relevant training to support work in the field of women's health. Within this period of time, the experience we're talking about is a minimum of 3 to 10 years of work experience post that terminal degree. Of these 3 to 10 years, 2 must be within the area of women's health research or within the context of being a product innovator for a women's health area. We anticipate and recommend and greatly encourage you to have strong institutional and explicitly indicating that you have been provided with time off duties to fulfill the fellowship requirements. You must have a clear idea that is developed during the fellowship as part of your reproductive health research track on a concept around the priority areas within the women's health research areas that we've mentioned. And if you're a product developer, we would like you to have a product in development. We have a 4-step application process as outlined. In step 1, you will complete your application and upload it on the portal. It gives you the option for both online and offline work. In step 2, the applications will be reviewed and shortlisted by an expert panel of women's health researchers, product developers, and innovators from both the KEMRI and the NAM networks. And in step 3, we will then shortlist candidates who will be invited to a video virtual interview. Finally, the successful 20 selected fellows will be informed of their success and invited to sign a letter of commitment to participate in the fellowship. The application requirements are as followed, and I'm just going to run through this so that you have a very quick idea of what is required. A complete LEA-WH fellow application form that you will find on the portal, your curriculum vitae, a research plan or proposal, as we talked about in the researchers track, an innovation concept or product in development for product developers, signed institutional support, proof of terminal degree, and then you need to upload all the relevant documents that will be required. So the process of application is visiting the LEA-WH website for detailed application guide. It will give you a whole information package of what is required. Create an account, follow the instructions, and upload your documents. As part of the application process, we invite you to complete a baseline training called the Baseline Training Needs Assessment Survey. Your responses will help us better understand your most pressing needs, gaps in research, product development, and innovation needs, and most importantly, how to tailor your journey through mentorship, practical components, and matching you with the right mentor. Finally, as a reminder, these are the timelines for the fellowship application. The applications opened on the 13th of January in 2026. The applications close on the 20th of February. And then shortly after, We have the video assessments and video interviews, virtual interviews for the candidates who have made it to this final stage. We will notify the applicants by the 17th of April in 2026, and we will kick off the fellowship on 30th of April. This is when we anticipate within this, after that, within the month of May, we will have our immersion week, where we'll have our in-person engagements for the successful fellows. Thank you for your time and interest in this exciting fellowship. We welcome you to apply and join us on this transformative journey that's a giant step forward for women's health in Africa. Over to you, Professor Bukusi.
Thank you very much. I really want to thank my colleagues for all the information that they have provided. So now we have an opportunity, and thank you. Thank you for that applause. Very, very kind and generous of you. Now we have an opportunity to answer the questions that you might have for us. And thank you for those who've already put their questions in the chat. So the first question that I've seen is, does this fellowship accept researchers focused on health policy and systems for women's health? Dr. Nyawira, can I invite you back to answer that question? Does this fellowship accept researchers who are focused on health policy and systems for women's health?
Absolutely. The critical thing is that you should have an application or research proposal that explains to us how this research that you want to conduct, number one, intersects with the key priority areas that are aligned to the grant and to this fellowship. And number two, if it's a product innovation space, that could still fall under health systems, and you have a product in the making that's aligned again with the priority areas. So really, anything under health systems, anything under the areas of women's health that intersect are applicable. The important thing is to identify which track will you be applying for, and do you have the eligibility requirements? Thank you, Prof. Bukusi. Good question.
Thank you very much. We have another great question here. And Dr. Resson, I'm going to throw this one to you. Someone has established a non-governmental organization which has a focus on women's health, and it's running effectively. But they live in the diaspora. They are wondering, are they still eligible since they are not living in Africa at the moment?
Great question and very practical. Regrettably, no. One of the eligibility criteria is that you must be living on the African continent for the duration of the fellowship because of all the interaction and being able to do the research here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I've got a plane running overhead. Now, Dr. Nyawira, this one comes back to you because you've just answered the question about health systems. Now, for an applicant who's proposing health systems or community-based innovation in women's health, they're wondering what distinguishes a strong innovation concept from an excellent one during the panel, the expert panel review. I think they're looking for a little sneak peek on what might get them across the finish line. What would distinguish a strong innovation concept from an excellent one? Dr. Nyawira?
I see someone's looking for the marking scheme and the X factor that will get them in. But that's an excellent question. I think first and foremost, the basic fundamental requirements of ensuring that you're within the priority areas that we talked about, endometriosis, menstrual bleeding, fibroids, the whole list, which includes around 9 areas if you look at them keenly. That's the fundamental thing that it must engage. It must be around those specific priority areas. I think when you talk about what makes it stand out compared to another one is, number one, we are looking for applicability. How relevant is it to the continent? Is it a product that would take off? Would we need to, kind of think through other external additions that are not normally found here? Is it relevant? Is it contextual? Would it serve the women who are in need of that specific product? And I just think innovation is a key aspect for determining your way forward. Your experience, of course, and your dedication, and of course being able to illustrate and demonstrate that you are passionate about the area of women's health and you are willing to go the long haul in this specific area of research are also very, very essential. So give it your best shot. I know Africa does not have a lack of talent. We are really, really looking forward and excited to seeing all your applications. Over. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you very much. Kelly, I want to throw you under the bus with this one because I know you've been thinking about this for a very long time. And we're really delighted that we'll be working with you. Someone's asking, they're two different questions, but I want to throw them to you, Kelly. The question is, the innovators, can they participate as a team or must it be an individual thing? But linked to that, Kelly, they're asking, how does a selection committee weigh implementation-focused innovation versus a more traditional academic research for products in reproductive health? So they're really wondering, can they work as a team or is it individual? And secondly, how would the selection committee sort of think about more implementation-focused innovation versus the more traditional academic research? So Kelly, I'm throwing you under the bus with this one.
Okay, thank you, Professor Bukusi. So the first, individual versus team. This is not something that we've discussed as we plan, but here's my initial reaction. Good science is done in teams. This program is really designed for individual fellows, however, but what we encourage is as the individual fellow who's a participant in our program goes through the program, is mentored, gets networking opportunities and training, that then they pass that on to the members of the team that they're working with. So although our program is not designed so that you could bring multiple team members to our convenings and other events, we certainly hope that you'll be able to apply the training and pass on your new knowledge and skills to other members of the team. The second is how we weigh innovation versus the research. That's why I believe Kemry came up with this wonderful innovation of the two-track program that when we were starting to look at this program, we hadn't even considered. They really are separate but equal, and they rely on each other to move forward. Obviously, the innovators are going to be taking from the researchers, and the researchers are going to want to see their new findings implemented in real life, in practice. So there'll be certain elements of the curriculum that'll be separate, that are relevant to people in each of those two tracks. And in other elements of the curriculum and networking and mentorship events, they'll come together to share and hopefully build peer-to-peer mentorship and new networks within the cohort. So I would not say you have a better chance presenting yourself as an innovator or a researcher. Both of those are equally valued. So Professor Elizabeth, did I answer that as you would have? Is there anything you'd like to add or retract?
It's clear that my efforts failed miserably. You jumped onto the bus and you drove it. You didn't go anywhere under it. So well done, Kelly. Thank you so much. That was a great response. Dr. Resson, there are two questions here that I want to throw to you. And the question is, in terms of eligibility, if someone has no evidence of published research in the priority area, can they go ahead and apply if their concept is actually in the priority areas that we've talked about? So they don't have any evidence of publishing research in that area, but if their proposal is in that area, would they be eligible? And linked to that, someone else is asking, when will the training start? And will there be any clinical surgical exposure during the training itself? They're asking, for example, management of cervical cancer. Dr. Resson?
Let me start with the second one first. So the virtual kickoff will be at the end of April, as Dr. Narera showed on the timeline. And then the in-person immersion, which is mandatory, will be in May, and that will be from 11th to 15th May, and you'd have to be in person in Nairobi. Regarding the clinical training, generally not. This is not a clinical program. We really are working to advance the innovation and academic aspects of women's health research on the continent. So we won't be offering training on cervical cancer screening and so on. We will really be looking for people who already have for the reproductive health researcher track, they have an idea that they want to be able to get to complete and get funded. And for a product developer or innovator, we've also got a product that is somewhere along the product development cycle that you would be looking to be able to complete and get to market viability. So that would be it.
And then in terms of someone who has a publication in an area that is not women's health research, but they have a concept in women's health research, you can try and we'll see based on that. But generally, we're looking for people who have a track record of work in the area. And so we would have to look at what is presented as the evidence of existing publications and then what the concept is and weigh on that. But we really are looking for people with some track record in women's health or some interest and have already begun the work there, so that you're not starting from completely from scratch. But we would encourage you to apply, and we will respond during the evaluation process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Nyabera, you're back on the spot. A couple of questions I want to put together. So someone has a PhD, a dual PhD in nursing and public health. Someone else has a PhD. They're wondering, are they eligible? So could you clarify on the eligibility criteria? Someone else says they are not employed, but they work as a consultant. So would that again make them eligible for this particular program? And then the last thing, and I'm sorry, I'm bunching them together because I want to make sure that we do get to answer all the questions. Someone's saying they're a lab scientist, so they're working in research or in a lab sort of research space. Does that qualify them? So could you clarify the eligibility criteria again?
Yeah. Thank you. Those are excellent questions, and please keep them coming. So I'll start with the one about the terminal degree being a PhD and a dual PhD. I just want to emphasize, and I'm sorry if this was not clear, that we're talking about a minimum of a master's degree. So the master's degree, a PhD degree, a postdoc, anything above that, anything that's a master's degree and above, especially for the reproductive health researcher track, you would be eligible. So please go ahead and apply. The second question about if you're a consultant, are you eligible? You are eligible based on the fact that if you've met the other eligibility criteria. However, you do need to have some sort of institutional base that then you're affiliated to. So within the space of your consultancy, whether it's a mentor or a place where you have some form of affiliation, either teaching or engagement in some way, form, or shape, please use that, because we will need you to at least be attached to an institution for accountability. The lab scientist, by all means, you are very, very much eligible. I think one thing I need to say is the product development track, innovator track, is first of all a multidisciplinary one. In case we have engineers, for people who are biotechnologists, people who are in the tech space, people who are in the data science space, we are open. When we talk about the product innovator space, we look at product innovation very, very broadly. It could be anything like a mobile app, a device, service delivery models, large language models, drug or product therapeutic products. So please, do not limit yourself. Whether you're lab, whether you're clinical, all those are eligible and multidisciplinary areas that we want. The whole point of LEA-WH is to have cross-pollination, and we cannot do it unless different disciplines come together and work together. As Kelly said very well, that research is often done as a team so that you're able to progress and transfer and confer knowledge all through. So that's my response, Prof. Evie. I hope I have done it justice.
You've done it justice, but I'll keep you on the spot. Please forgive me, because there's some questions still about the issue of eligibility. That's drawing a lot of interest. So someone's asking, is there an exception for an MSc student, but who has done research on various areas of women's reproductive health research? And someone else is saying they're a community-based innovator. They've been working on women's health herbal products, but they're not a graduate, but their product has gone through safety testing, quality analysis, quantitative analysis, and fingerprinting. So they're asking, can they be considered for this fellowship?
Excellent questions, first of all. So for the potential applicant with the MSc who has worked in various areas, again, I want to reiterate, a master's degree is the minimum. So that automatically qualifies you. So if you have a master's degree specifically for the reproductive health researcher track, then you qualify. Master's degree, as I said, PhDs, postdoctorates and above. For the product development track, we are conscious that many times in innovation, we may have innovated or have an idea, even at the stage of a bachelor degree. So we're open to that. And again, now just tying this with my esteemed colleague who has asked about the herbal space, yes, if the product has gone through all these processes, those are the kind of product in development. That's actually a definition of what we are looking for. We probably would want to look at what level. You said you're not a graduate. Is this a bachelor's degree or a master's? But I think I would encourage, rather than not apply at all, especially for the product innovators, please go ahead, and we'll be able to kind of walk through where you are in terms of the product development space. That's really one of the most critical elements for the product innovator track. So please go ahead and apply.
Great. I want to bring Kelly back in to answer a question about women's health. The question is, Kelly, do adolescent girls apply? Or how are we defining these women? Is it older women, or will adolescent girls also be part of this?
Thank you, Professor Bakusi. Yes, definitely adolescent girls would also be an appropriate topic. Everyone from there on up through the entire spectrum until we get to menopause and postmenopause. So we want to capture the entire spectrum of women's health. So please do apply if your work is in that field.
Thank you, Kelly. Dr. Rason, can I have you back on to answer this question? Someone's wondering about innovations like linking maternal mental health to chronic conditions like endometriosis or primary infertility. Is that acceptable? And someone else is specifically asking about topics like breast cancer. Is that a topic of interest?
Great, thanks. So for the first one about maternal health and endometriosis, so maternal health, as has already been answered in the chat, is not covered specifically within this fellowship priority areas. However, it depends. If endometriosis is the stronger framing of the question, then that can be considered. So it would depend again on what the primary anchor for the research question or research idea is. So if it's more endometriosis than maternal health, that could be considered. But if it's more maternal health than endometriosis, as already answered regrettably, that will not be covered. Prof. Bukusi, the second question? Which one was it?
It was about something like breast cancer. Does breast cancer?
So breast cancer, thank you, Prof. So breast cancer is also not included in the priority areas. Cervical cancer is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Nyawira, I'm bringing you back to the fore. And again, the questions are really linked to the question of people really want you to give them a sneak preview. They're asking, could you give some examples? What kind of innovation are you looking for? What are examples of products in development that the fellowship is looking to support? People really want the marking scheme.
I know. And I wish I could share it. But I think overall, we are looking for products that would be innovative solutions to the problems that we have, to the priority areas that we have mentioned. We are not looking for, existing products that are, say, already existing, patented, and then now we just want to come and see whether we could implement them within our setting. We're very focused on if the products are contextually relevant, whether they're pragmatic in our many, sometimes and more than often challenged healthcare systems in Africa. We are looking for a broad range. We're not limited to just clinically based solutions. You could be having, like I said, a service delivery model that actually works a lot better and would ensure that women who have one of these conditions access women's health care services even better. It could be a drug product. It could be, like I said, anything in the data science space, like large language models, applications. So I think the broad definition of product development is what we're really trying to bring out in this informational session. Now, what is going to distinguish you from a good proposal or a good product? I think that is really based on how innovative, how novel, how relevant, how contextual it is, how ready you are to move it to the next level. It's obvious that you have maybe some proof of concept that it worked before, and so it's really just fine tuning. I think those are the elements that we'll be looking for. And you don't have to come with a completely, ready made proposal. We just want a concept so that we then can guide you on how you will proceed. And part and parcel of this fellowship is really to have mentorship on how to fine tune those ideas to become market viable for product innovations, and how to fine tune your research so that it's more relevant and really moving you towards grant applications for the funding that you require. So that is my response towards, what is the scope of the product innovations and the research, and perhaps a sneak preview into what would be, make a good application successful. Thank you.
Before I let you go, Dr. Nyawira, someone's asking, is 10 years max from the time of their terminal degree? Is it 10 years max? So I guess if someone was 11 years after their terminal degree, they would not be eligible. They're asking about the maximum period after their terminal degree.
We do not have a maximum period after your terminal degree. We have a minimum period. So 10 years max, please go ahead and apply. That's my short answer.
Great. So some of the last questions we want to look at before we sort of wind this down. There's a question that's been asked, and you've asked, will the slides be shared? Can we provide more information? We will load this presentation onto our website, so you'll be able to go back and listen to it. There's some people who registered and maybe they won't be able to join. Things come up and people are not able to be there on time. So we're going to load this particular presentation onto our website. So it will be possible for someone to listen to it and hear all the different things that we discussed. And of course, you'll be able to see the slides even as you listen to the particular webinar. But Dr. Eson, let me bring you back to the fore. Someone's a public health specialist working in reproductive and child health. They're interested and are thinking about ways to improve women's health, especially to reduce female genital mutilation, early marriage, gender-based violence. Based on that information, they are wondering, would they be able to apply for this fellowship? Dr. Eson, I wonder whether you're on.
Yes, I am. My unmute button had disappeared momentarily. Thanks, and that's an excellent question. So no, this curriculum and fellowship does not cover female genital mutilation or gender-based violence within it. So for right now, no. If there was another angle that one could weave in, then that could be considered if it's related to any one of the other 9 priority areas, but purely on its own, no, it's not eligible. Thanks.
Great. Before I just round us off, Kelly, would you remind the listeners about what is NAM offering in terms of the support they're offering for travel? And then Dr. Nyawira, could you come in after Kelly and just say, the question I'm seeing is there a stipend? How much and how often will it be paid? So could we clarify that support? If Kelly, you could clarify the travel support, and then Dr. Nyawira, you could clarify what support KEMRI is offering, and then we'll be able to wind it down.
Thanks very much. So on our side, as I mentioned, each fellow selected to the program will be given a US $7,000 travel budget. What can you use that for? That could be for air tickets, hotel, meals, visa costs, to attend relevant professional events that will help you with your networking and professional development. That could be National Academy of Medicine events. It could be professional conferences in Europe, the United States, Africa, Asia, wherever the conference in your field that's relevant to you would be held. It could be a visit to your mentor for several days, a week, to give lectures. We would handle the travel arrangements, provide visa support for you, make it as easy as possible for you. And as I mentioned, not that $7,000 budget would be available to you not only during your fellowship year, but if you don't happen to be able to spend it all in 1 year or too busy to travel, you would have your second year as you're an alumnus of the program to continue using the budget. Dr. Nyawera?
Thank you, Kelly. That was very clear. So I will point towards what's the question around the stipend. So this fellowship will not have a stipend, traditional stipend as we define them. However, we will have some form of budgetary allocation to the fellows, and this will cover a laptop and internet coverage because of the virtual sessions. We will also provide transport and accommodation for the in-person gatherings that have been listed as mandatory, and as well as visa support when we do need to have that, especially for the travel. So those will be the additional kind of fellows package. But the short answer to your question is that this fellowship does not offer a stipend.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the KEMRI and NAM teams for just walking us through this process. I'd like to now just sort of wind us down and bring us to a close. Thank you so much for being available, for staying and listening to everything we needed to share with you. Thank you for being interested in the program. And I should say thank you for working in this field of women's health and wanting to make a difference for the health of women on this continent. You can send us using the scan. You can send us a WhatsApp text, you can email us, or you can visit us on our website. And we do promise within 24 hours, we are going to be loading this presentation on the website so that you're able to listen to it. I really want to thank you all very, very much for being available, for your thoughtful questions, for your engagement. If we haven't answered your question, please be sure to look at the frequently asked questions on our website, because we are going to post answers to the questions that have been asked, so that anyone who did not get a chance to ask or asked and you felt we might not have adequately answered your questions, you will be able to find the answer there. So please check out the website. We've posted it in the webinar chat. So if you click on that, you should be able to find our webpage and you should be able to answer. We've taken note that someone has raised a question about this part of our portal that's not accepting an email address. We are having the technical team look at it immediately. Thank you very much. It says that you're already in the process. We are thrilled and excited to hear that. And we'll make sure that we fix all the technical glitches to allow you to be able to submit your application on time. I am really sincerely hoping that there's some of you here who will find that this is a good fit for you, that you will apply, and that you will make it onto our final list of the 20 scholars that we hope to be able to take this year, the 20 fellows that will be our very initial cohort for the LEA Fellowship, because this is indeed for us, it's a giant step forward in women's health in Africa. And we really hope that you, with your innovation, with the research that you want to do, that you will make a difference to the health of women on this continent. Thank you very much. I will give you 2 whole minutes of your precious time back, because you've been so good at asking us the questions in a very timely manner. And I want to thank each and every one of the presenters and the ones who've answered and they're answering the questions. Thank you very much. And to the technical team and the team that has been working on this from NAM and KEMRI, thank you for your time. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your commitment to making a difference for the women of this continent. Take care, all of you. God bless, and we look forward to further engagement with you.